The Samsung S95H has the highest mixed usage score out of any TV we've ever tested, which isn't surprising since this is one of the most versatile OLEDs on the market. This year's model brings a few changes, most notably Samsung's decision to drop the slim One Connect box that came with previous versions of this flagship OLED. If you want to see more reviews like this one, be sure to subscribe. Alright, let's get into it. The QD-OLED version of the Samsung S95H is available in 55, 65, and 77-inch models. There's also an 83-inch model, but it uses an RGB tandem panel instead, so this review doesn't apply to that size. Most TVs don't really stand out visually. Some are thinner, some have a cool design on the back, and the location of inputs can differ, but most TVs look similar to each other from the front. This must have been eating away at the design team at Samsung because the S95H has a pretty radical design. The display is surrounded by a large metallic bezel that makes it look like the screen is floating. It's clearly designed to be wall-mounted, but you can still use the TV's included feet instead. You just can't remove the large bezel, so it looks a little odd when it's not mounted. Samsung plans on offering additional frames that will snap on top of the bezel, so it gives you options to match it with your own decor. It's an interesting design choice to say the least, and you might find yourself either loving or hating this new look. The S95H has 4 HDMI 2.1 ports on the back of the TV, but you can still buy the One Connect box separately to bring the total amount of ports to 8. Although the S95H is known for its bright room performance, it still looks its best in a dark room. It displays the inky blacks that OLEDs are known for, with no haloing around highlights and subtitles due to its pixel-level control. Since the S95H is a QD-OLED, it also displays an incredibly wide range of rich and vibrant colors. It covers the entirety of the DCI-P3 color space in SDR, and it maintains that full coverage at 1000 nits in HDR. This means the TV can show the full range of colors in most HDR content. It can even show a good chunk of colors in the rarely used but super wide BT 2020 color space, so you're getting one of the most colorful TVs on the market here. Not only are colors vivid, but they're also extremely accurate out of the box in both SDR and HDR. Even purists likely won't feel the need to get this TV calibrated. On top of that, the TV's EOTF tracking is excellent. It's not perfect, since some shadows, midtones, and highlights are slightly brighter than intended, but those inaccuracies are hard to notice in real-world content. All in all, this TV really respects the content creator's intent when you're using filmmaker mode. It's also one of the brightest OLEDs we've tested. In HDR, it peaks at around 2,900 nits with a 2% and 10% window, so small, specular highlights really pop. Since it's an OLED, full screen brightness is much lower. However, it still pumps out a respectable 460 nits with a 100% window, so scenes with large areas of brightness don't look dim. It also performs well with our HDR real scene brightness tests, so its performance with test slides carries over into real-world content. The S95H also provides outstanding SDR brightness, reaching over 1,100 nits with our real scene test. This TV is more than bright enough to overcome glare, especially when you consider its screen coating. When Samsung switched to a matte coating a couple of years ago, it was a divisive decision. The matte coating is here once again, and whether you love it or hate it, you can't deny how well it minimizes reflections. You can have lamps or windows directly facing the TV, and you can barely see them on the screen. Unfortunately, image quality does take a hit in a bright room since blacks are noticeably raised due to the lack of a polarizer. You lose those inky blacks that the TV displays in a dark room, and they look more like purple-tinged charcoal. Low luminance colors also take a hit, and they lose some perceived saturation, but since the TV is so colorful to begin with, the image still looks punchy. No one will be complaining that your S95H looks dull in a bright room. Not only do games look amazing on this TV, but gaming on it just feels good. It supports up to 4K at 165 Hz, so it easily covers the 120 Hz that modern consoles max out at. If you have a good gaming PC, you can put that 165 Hz to good use. On top of that, it supports FreeSync, HDMI 4 and VRR, and it's G-Sync certified, so screen tearing is a thing of the past regardless of the console or GPU that you own. Motion is crystal clear thanks to its nearly instant response times, and its input lag is very low. If you like to tweak your settings, there's a convenient game bar that allows you to enable settings like Game Motion Plus and Virtual Aim Point. Whether you're watching movies or playing games, you might be sitting at an angle from the screen. Fortunately, this TV has a nearly perfect viewing angle. The image looks just as good from the sides of the screen as it does when you sit directly in front of it, so it's a fantastic choice for rooms with wide seating arrangements. Like pretty much any TV, the S95H supports the basic HDR10. You also get HDR10 Plus, which uses dynamic metadata to help map HDR content to the capabilities of your display. Like any Samsung TV, this TV doesn't support the Dolby Vision format. It's not a deal breaker by any means, especially if you stream your content, since super bright TVs like this one don't really need that dynamic metadata most of the time to help them tone map. And HDR10 Plus is now supported on many streaming services. However, it's a bit disappointing for physical media enthusiasts, since the version of Dolby Vision found on some discs is a bit more advanced and it can lead to a slight uptick in image quality. At this point, we're not expecting Samsung to ever add Dolby Vision to their TVs, but it would be nice. So, how does this TV compare to other models on the market? If you're considering the S95H, there's a good chance you're also considering the LG G6. The S95H has a bit of an advantage when it comes to colors, and it's also brighter with real scenes in HDR. The S95H also does a better job handling direct reflections due to its matte coating. However, the G6 is certainly no slouch when it comes to handling reflections, and it does a much better job retaining its image quality in a bright room since blacks aren't nearly as raised. The G6 also supports Dolby Vision, which many people do like to have. In the end, both TVs are outstanding, so it really comes down to what you care about the most. The S95H is one of the most versatile OLEDs on the market. It looks amazing in a dark room, and its top-tier handling of reflections also makes it a solid choice for bright rooms. Gamers will also be pleased by the wealth of features it provides, so it's incredible for mixed usage. Some people might be put off by its matte coating and its unusual design, but if you like the way it looks, it is a solid option if you're after one of the best TVs on the market. That's a wrap on our review of the Samsung S95H. Do you like the new metallic border, or would you rather an OLED that looks more basic? Let us know in the comments!